Good evening. This is What's Your Story. I am Catherine Mwangi. I am so gratified that you made the time to tune in tonight because guess what? We have the Deputy Speaker of Kenya's National Assembly, Honorable Gladys Shollei. Have I said that right? Boss Shollei. There's the boss. The boss has to be there. She's also the women rep for Uasin Gishu. You are most welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You look absolutely amazing.
Thank
in that
you.
electric blue.
I had to compete with you.
Oh, no. I was trying. And I looked through all the footage. I said, hey, this Miss Boss Shollei, man, I better step. So I am so glad. But karibu sana.
Asante.
You are just this formidable woman that we have seen just rise and rise. You overcome such immense challenges. And we still see you with that signature smile. Yeah. But I will start with your background. Why law? You've done what? Bachelor, master? Is there a PhD?
I'm a PhD dropout, actually.
You, a dropout?
I decided against it.
Yeah?
I was a registered PhD student at the University of Ghent in Belgium. And then later I realized, why am I studying the same subject again? So I quit and decided to read for my MBA.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so because I wanted to learn something new. Because I'd done too much law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And an MBA in what?
It's strategic management.
Oh. You, okay.
Because I was in management by that time.
Right.
So I'm a lawyer who moved into management.
Right.
So I realized I had management experience, but I didn't have management training. And then I'd studied too much law. I had a first degree in law, second degree in law, a diploma in law.
Yeah.
How much law can one study? So I thought to myself, why am I studying the same subject again?
Yeah.
And I realized I actually had a shortfall in formal management. So I thought it's a good thing, and I actually did enjoy my MBA studies.
Awesome. But let's go back.
Because I was a CEO when I was doing it.
Oh, yeah? For which firm?
Kenya Law Reports. I was CEO then and pregnant.
With your, what child first?
My third born.
With your third born?
Yes.
So pregnant with your third child, and studying and running a company.
And did exams 1 week later after giving birth.
No.
Yes.
See the resilience I'm talking about. See, like where is that fire from? Like, where do you get the fire?
If you've got to do it, you've got to do it. And I say we learn from our grandmothers.
Oh, what did
yours teach
you?
I mean, if you look at any African woman,
yeah,
they are tilling the soil. And then they put the baby under a tree.
Yeah.
Then they bring the baby, they breastfeed the baby, put the baby back under the tree, and continue tilling the land. You see any picture of an African woman, they have water on their head, a baby in their stomach, one in their back, and still have a hand to shake someone's hand.
Yeah.
So that's the story of the African woman. It's not new with me. Our forefathers or grandmothers before us used to do it.
Yeah.
Working and raising a family.
Yeah.
So it's normal. Why do we make it look like it's not normal? It is.
Now that you say it, you put it that way, you're like, actually, our mothers and grandmothers did.
Did they stop fetching firewood because they were pregnant?
No.
Did they stop feeding the family and cooking because they were pregnant? No. Did they stop tilling the land or going to milk the cows because they were pregnant? No. Or because they didn't have a child? That's why they always carry their children on their back, so they can have 2 free hands to do some work. So it's normal life. So I think there's too much... I think they've over-commercialized motherhood. It's not a big deal. Yeah, it's like when people talk about going for Lamaze classes. Before you give birth, I tell people, you will just give birth anyway. Unless you have a medical problem, of course.
Yeah.
But we are making the normal like it's not normal.
Like, So the fluff for you is like you're able to just see it and just brush it off and do your thing. Gosh, I really like that. Gee, you've already blown me off in 5 minutes. Gee, okay. So what was growing up for you like?
Yeah, growing up, I grew up just pretty standard. My parents were junior. My father was in the army in Nairobi, so he didn't live with us at the beginning of when we were younger.
Yeah.
My mother was a secretary, very junior secretary at a college, so we lived in the teachers' quarters.
How many siblings?
Yeah, 5.
You're what born?
I'm the second born.
Oh, at least we have one thing in common. So you're the second born. Okay,
Yes,
I
yes.
see that. I see that.
Yeah, so it was a simple life. We took the bus to school every day.
Okay.
We got a lift from the college bus because my parents didn't have a car. But they were determined to put us in really good school. So
Yes.
they sent us to Hill School, which was the best school in Eldoret at that time.
Okay.
They could barely afford it, but we were struggling. Like we were the brokest kids in the school.
Wow.
That's, all the other kids were the so-and-sos. But yeah, I admire, I have the immense respect for them for doing that. Because many parents would have just decided, you know what, let's put them in the nearby school. Yeah, and remember, we used to come from Nandi County to Wasingishu to go to school. Every morning, woke up at 4 in the morning. I think it's about 37 kilometers. But those days it was it used to take a long time to get there.
Yeah.
And we used to wake up at 4. At 5 in the morning, we'd get into the bus. And by 6, we'd be at school. And then we'd have breakfast with the boarders. Because the boarders would be having breakfast.
Yeah.
And I remember asking my mother, why didn't you just make us boarders later when I was grown up?
Yes.
She says, I couldn't afford it. So she couldn't afford to put us in the boarding school, which is what should have been the normal thing to do because we lived quite a distance.
Right.
So I woke up every morning with a kiboko because, of course, my mother would wake us up the first time with her hand, and then we wouldn't wake up. And then the next time she would have us so short. It's this thing for washing calabashes. And she'd spunk us with it.
Yeah.
So I woke up every day.
Yeah, like that.
And I was like, how stupid were we? Why didn't we just wake up? Because we were bound to wake up anyway. From that, I learned very high discipline. To this day, I'm up at 5 in the morning.
Every day.
No matter what.
Okay. Even on holiday.
Even on holiday, I'll wake up even if I have to go back and sleep later. I'll just get up because my
body clock
just...
it's all
even if I sleep at 2 in the morning, then I'll wake up at 5. Then try and get myself to go back to sleep.
Oh, wow. So education was very important for your parents.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
And my mother taught me that 90% was at a good mark.
Wow, okay.
So my mother believed in 100% or nothing. And I was a weak student. So
you
it
were?
Was really, yes. I was not an A student.
No.
So it was difficult for me because my mother expected the best. And I think that's a good thing because with my mother, I learned to, because I was a weak student, I constantly struggled. Yes. I had the lowest mark in my primary school in the CPE that year.
You?
Yes. I was at the bottom of the entire Hill School. Those days, I used to be out of 36. I had 27 points, or so 26 points.
What
so
turned around?
But no, I think I was just a slow learner.
Oh, I see.
And because I was a slow learner, and I had to work maybe 10 times harder than everybody else to be able to get some normal grades, I had to struggle. And my sister was already in a school, a Loreto school. So what happened is the nuns took me as an exception. So I didn't qualify to go to the school.
Oh.
But because my sister was there, and they had a policy to keep siblings together, I got a chance in Loreto Matunda, Loreto Convent Matunda. And I got there. I was still at the bottom of my class, I think, until Form 3. Then suddenly, I think all the struggling and hard work paid off. Yeah. And by the time I was done, I was a straight A student.
What was the turnaround?
No, I just think I had difficulty learning concepts on time with everybody else.
Got it.
And I used to stay up at night to study because I had to struggle. And I think the reason why I work hard now is because I had to work hard all my life because I didn't have it easy as a student. No. So that is not a bad thing, actually, when you're a weak student, because it's taught me to put in extra effort.
Yes. You know, we could never imagine that you struggled, you know, getting things, infusing knowledge.
Yeah. In fact, I remember my father had said to me that if you don't do well by the end of Form 3, then you'll have to repeat. We won't let you get to Form 4. So that also scared me a bit because I didn't want to be left out with my friends. But I always struggled as a student. And even when I went to high school, I used to study harder than everybody else because I was still not a strong student. I only got the grades because I worked hard. And even now when I've gone to Parliament, I've worked hard to study the standing orders, understand how it works. I go to the people around there who've been there long enough and ask them. Dr. Pukose, member for NDBS, I call him Walimu because I would always ask him, so at this stage, what should we do exactly?
Right.
So that's the story of my life. And it's one thing I tell young people, you're not good at something because you're just born good. You work at it. I am a living testimony of someone who has to work at it.
Yes. Wow. Okay, great. So you've gone to your story in Parliament, and I'll come there, yes, but just touching on what you said, you're not shy of asking when you don't know.
Yeah, I always ask.
You have to ask. I like that quality.
And I learn. I'm studious. If there's something has to be learned, I will learn it.
Yes.
When I went to Electoral Commission, I didn't know anything about elections. I'd never done elections in my life, but I studied it. I had a crash course. I had someone who came to teach me, who was a consultant. He was a consultant at that time, but he was the former chairperson of the Australian Electoral Commission. And he came to work with me, and he used to sit literally in my office. And I'd ask him, so what happens with this and that? And I learned. I remember approaching Koki Muli.
Yeah.
Ambassador Koki, now she's Ambassador Koki Muli. She was like one of the few people in Africa who were electoral experts. So I used to go and sit with her, we'd have lunch, and she took me on a crash course within a month.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. So you can learn practically anything if you're hardworking enough and put in the time.
Yeah, and being intentional.
So I always say advice is a phone call away.
Wow, I like that. So why did you choose law?
I used to watch LA Law at my cousin's place because they're the ones who had a TV, we didn't. And I remember we'd go to their house, and I loved this LA Law was like about a law firm. So I just decided, okay, I want to study law because it looked very cool.
Oh, the power of TV. And when you got into it, was it as cool as it looked?
But eventually I didn't become a courtroom lawyer, which was what the series was about.
Yes.
I studied law, I enjoyed it, but later I decided to, at that time, environment law and maritime environment law was a big thing. So I decided to take my master's in maritime environment law. That's what my master's is in, actually.
Now it makes sense. When I was watching I want to call them interviews, when the current CSs, and you said to the current environment CS, first you hailed her for, she was your student.
She was my student, yes.
And your questions were very connected. You could tell you haven't necessarily read about it, but so now I get it, because you learned it.
Yeah, because that's my specialization, and that's what I did. And then after that, I went to the University of Nairobi, and I was running what they call the Law of the Sea program. When people are still talking about the United Nations Law of the Sea Convention and things like that. And that's when I was supposed to go and study about Law of the Sea in Ghent, and then decided against it. So it's, so every place I've gone, it's been a new job.
Yes.
In a new learning. I've never done the same thing any time.
How exciting has that been?
Yeah. Then I went to teach at the university. I wasn't a teacher. I was shaking during my first lesson because I was almost the same age as the students. I was just thinking, because it was by mistake that I actually went to the university, I was running the Law of the Sea program at the university as a UNEP project.
Okay.
And then when the project ended, they told me, but you're an assistant lecturer actually, by designation. So I was sent to class.
Wow.
And then I had to get out. But by the time I was done, I was a pretty good teacher.
How long did you do it for?
So today, I think I have 22 students in Parliament.
22?
Yes. I have 2 governors, Governor Kangata and Governor Sang of Nandi, were my students. I have Murkomen, who's my student. I have Soipan. So I have 2 CSS. I think probably 11 PSS, maybe.
Isn't that amazing?
It's the most fulfilling job.
Yes.
Teaching is very fulfilling because you see the result.
Yes, and now see.
And nobody can question it. Other results, people can say, oh, you didn't do a good job. But with students, they're there. They're doing well.
It's the fruit.
They're great people. They're clever.
Yes.
Sifuna was my student. Daniel Manzo. They all turned out to be pretty good.
All big names, yes.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No, it's my claim to fame.
No, even without that, I mean, just what you have done.
No, but it's nice.
It is nice.
It gives me such a great sense of pride. That's why I say teaching was probably my most fulfilling job.
Yeah.
The least paid, but the most fulfilling.
Yeah, it's global, least paid globally, but yes, you mold minds. I think that's divine.
And maybe one day I'll retire back to teaching.
Yeah?
Yeah, I love it.
But different, maybe something different altogether. Okay, so let's get to, does anything frazzle you? You know, we see you there, stoic, formidable. Like during the last election season, I remember reading somewhere you said bathing is overrated.
Yes.
You know, you were there day and night, 24 hours, no sleeping, because you had a job to do, you had something to deliver, and not just for you, but for the people of Kenya. What was that like? Like, how?
I'm one of these people, if I have a job to do, I get so consumed in getting it done. And it's hard for me to look left or right. So I always say, I tell people it's like a racing horse. That's why they have blinds. So that when you're only looking at the finishing line, you don't look to the crowds or the cheering and that. So I always tell young people, you should wear blinkers like a racing horse so that you stay focused.
Yes.
But I guess it also comes from the fact that I have to work doubly hard at anything. I mean, I used to have to do that. I've gotten better with time.
Yeah.
But because I had to do that, I always had to get myself into this focus mode. So it became a training. I do it, and if I'm focused. So some people are saying, why don't you take a break when we're bombers? I said, when people are at war, do the army stop and take a bath? And wherever they don't, or go freshen up? No. So you've got to do it, and it has a time limit anyway. So if it's, you can't say I'm taking a day off or whatever.
No.
So you just tell yourself, just get to the last day, get over with it, and then you can move on to other things.
So that analogy you gave to your mind was like, this is war.
Yeah, this is what, it's what
More
we
or
need
less.
to get done. It's time bound. So it's not like I can do it next week.
No.
Of course, if it's something I can do next week, then I can postpone it and say, I'll take a break and do it next week, or I'll go take a shower, change my clothes, and come back next week.
No.
But this is not one of them.
No.
So I think you've got to know which issues are time-bound and which ones are not.
So that speaks, so what I'm gleaning from you is first that laser sharp focus, do not be distracted.
Yes.
And then being, having that deep conviction for a cause, because you cannot like have fruit in anything unless you're deeply convicted about it.
It's like even simple things like people accuse me of being very poor at picking my phone. But I tell them if I'm working at something, then I put my phone aside. Because people don't realize how inefficient you become. Just you're starting to read or something, and then you stop and pick the phone. Then get into some conversation which is about something else. Then come back, and you think you're starting to work again, and
The phone rings.
you're back on it. It's very disruptive.
Yeah.
So you become inefficient. Even the best of us don't give their best because of that. So it's those interruptions.
Yeah.
Yeah, even, and I've had to evaluate even myself. I ask myself, if you're going to sit around with your friends, either you're relaxing and having a good time,
Yeah.
or sometimes it's just eating into your time, but there's nothing that's coming out of it.
There's no value.
It's not, it's not an emotional fulfillment. It's not, you're not getting anything done. You're not achieving anything. And you can drift like that and never become a performer. So it's about also deciding what is important with your time.
Yeah. So even if it's socially, there has to be value. That's what I'm getting.
Yes. You don't have to sit around with people you don't like. Yeah, because sometimes I realized at some point that sometimes I was just sitting around people I don't like.
Yeah.
And they don't make me happy because I'm feeling like it's a duty. So I said to myself, no, you know what? I only sit around with people who add value to my life.
Yes, you like them and they like you.
And it happens a lot when you're young because of peer pressure. You know, because somebody is one of the cool people around, you go and hang out with them.
Yeah.
Or you want to be around them. But it's not like you really like being around them or value what
coming out from
they do.
them. I see.
So
I like that.
Sometimes you ask yourself, I can spend 2 hours walking in the forest and I feel it's therapeutic. It's relaxing. I become recharged and I work better when I come back. Yeah, but it's sitting around with somebody you don't like.
Yeah. Has your circle of friends narrowed, you know, as you've grown wiser? Yeah. Have people dropped off of your life?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. I think for me,
Yeah.
it happened to me many years ago when my family was involved in a lawsuit.
Okay.
And many people just shun you that time because they think you're not important anymore. When at the judiciary, there are so many people who thought they didn't think I was important enough anymore, so they stopped talking to me. So I also learned who are my friends. There are those people who stood by me.
Yeah.
People who cared about me, people who would ask me, are you okay? Are you coping well? When I was taken to court, just having to go through that, I know the people who stayed with me. And today, when I had a party to celebrate my appointment, my daughter organized it to celebrate my appointment as a deputy speaker.
Yeah.
The people were very carefully chosen. And I said, this is the original Team GBS. Because there are people I've worked with, people have been in my life, people who've supported me, people who stood with me when things were difficult, when things were, so you know your friends during your hard times.
Right.
Because the poor, believe me, you won't believe how they just won't bother to call you, won't bother to check on you. Yeah.
And then when you get back on the limelight, when you get back on the horse, so to speak.
Then your phone is ringing off the hook.
Yeah. I don't get that. I really don't get that.
Yeah, and but it's good. Now I'm grown up enough to
know.
mature enough to do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Man.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's something you learn. You can't be told in advance.
No.
Because you're with people and you don't expect that they will dump you. So it's only when it happens and you're like, okay, now I got it. The important thing is not to inherit them back. Yeah, just cut them off. Click that delete button.
Out. We are taking a short commercial break. Okay, we need to hydrate. I don't even understand why we don't have water here. But look, I know we all know her, okay? And I know we may be expecting the rather obvious questions, but this has just somehow divinely turned into a coaching session. So please get it, glean it.
I don't claim to be a coach.
No, but like you're giving such wisdom, and from someone who's been through it. So we're coming back after the break. Remember when she said at the start of this segment, rise, fall, rise, fall. You've had some of it. We will expand that in a few minutes. Don't go too far.
I mean, I used to be accused of being a no-nonsense, very tough manager, slave driver sometimes they called me. But then I said to myself, it's my biggest weakness, but it's also my greatest strength because I get the job done.
Yeah.
So yes, unfortunately, that's it. That's how I work.
Yeah.
But I get things done.
Yes, yes. Welcome back. It's What's Your Story? I'm Catherine Mwangi. So grateful that you're still watching the show tonight. We have the Deputy Speaker of Kenya's National Assembly. She's also the Women Rep for Uasin Gishu. Let's pick up from where we left off before the break, where we were talking about the people around you. And for you, when you said that, you learned that, much earlier in life, especially I think maybe during that time you were chief registrar and whatever happened and people fell off. So the role you play, that role, what is it? Could you demystify it for us?
Basically, you preside over the House debates. So you sort of are like, what do you call a moderator? Yeah, like if we're having a debate, you have a moderator, or if there's a panel, there's a moderator.
Right.
Yes, so that's basically what it is. But the Speaker also has some, I deputize the Speaker. So the Speaker is also the head of the arm of government of Parliament.
Yes.
He has several duties to make sure that, like, he's chairperson of the Judicial Service, the Parliamentary Service Commission. There's a lot of administrative work. He also sits with the House Business Committee, the Procedure Rules Committee, and so he's the CEO of Parliament. So I deputize him.
Yes.
There are certain tasks that are allocated to me as Deputy Speaker.
Right.
There is also some international tasks, or rather mandate that we have. For example, the Speaker is is the one who represents Kenya in the Commonwealth Parliamentary Union. And then I have been designated to lead the delegation that comes to what they call the African, Caribbean, and Pacific Joint Parliamentary Assembly with the EU. So that is domiciled in the Deputy Speaker's office. So we sort of have divided roles.
Yes.
Yeah. Apart from that, it's all any tasks that need to get done that the Speaker would normally place at my desk.
I see. So lots of delegation.
And then when he's not present, I would preside over the House. But we also have like 6 assistant speakers. Because sometimes the House can sit until 9 or whatever. So yes. And you see, for the Speaker, he also has a huge portfolio of administrative duties.
Okay.
Yeah. So the rest of the time, myself and the Speaker's panel would manage the House during that time. Yeah. Any motion that comes to the House and so on, you have to write to the Speaker. So even me, because I'm still a member of Parliament, when I want to bring a motion or a question or a statement to the House, I still have to send it to the Speaker for approval. And if the Speaker is absent, then I would be doing the approvals.
I see.
Yes.
Did you ever see yourself here in that role?
No.
No.
I think in my life I stumble upon things. I've never really done anything I planned to do. Because if you think about it, I went to work at the UN. I didn't plan it. I just happened to do my thesis around I did my research there for my master's thesis. And Philomena Falan, who was then working there, said to me, could I see your thesis when you finish? So when I came back from University of Cape Town, I took it to her. And those days, you couldn't email it, so you just sort of deliver it in hard copy. And then a few days later, she told me, come and see me, I'll read it, then I'd like to discuss it with you.
Right.
So she took it, and a few days later I went there, and then she said, I've read it, it's very interesting. I think you could be good for a job that's here. So that's how I applied. I didn't ever think of working in the UN.
No.
Yeah, it's just this amazing, and she was a really strong feminist. So I also picked that from her.
Yes, yes.
I was still very naive.
But before you approach, just have all your ducks in a row and just know what it is you're about to say. Yeah. But then also your womanhood also pops. How do you do that?
And I think that high sense of discipline I learned from my mother, because my mother had no time. I mean, we used to, when we moved during the holidays, we'd harvest maize. She'd take us to a farm where we had, and we'd harvest the maize until we had blisters. Just because she had other people she had hired, to harvest maize, she'd give us our portion to harvest as the kids. And we'd be the last people to leave the farm when all the maize was being stacked and taken to the store. She didn't give us a break about it. No. Yeah, if it was milking cows, you milked cows. Yeah. If it's cleaning the house, cooking, etc., we did all the chores. Yeah. Yeah. There was not a lazy moment at our house. Yeah.
You all had things you were doing.
Yes. So now when I'm tough on people, I tell them, you know what? I mean, that's how I grew up.
But how are you able to be tough and soft at the same time?
No, they're not exclusive of each other.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, being tough on people is a way of being soft. You're teaching them, because being taught out there in the world is harder.
But do you think also, ma'am, that people who have a choleric personality, the expectations that you hold of others, that sense of perfection, could be also unfair? And I say that as one. I've had to work hard in not being, in just watering down expectations of others and maybe accepting them as they are.
The thing is, I'm hard on myself too. So I'm not hard on people and not hard on myself. So the same expectations I have of myself is the same expectations I have of people. But also, I have expectations within your ability. So I won't demand something of you that you're not capable of. Right. A lot of people are capable of a lot. Yeah. And you just don't realize it. So many people, you don't realize your full potential. Yeah. And it doesn't mean you have to do things to perfection, but you must make the effort.
So when you see potential, you mine it.
Yes, exactly.
It's as simple as that.
Yes. I mean, it's like with my team, and with the Kenya Kwanza team. Yeah. I'm not known for being this politician who can mobilize crowds and whatever. I'm not good at that. But I'm good at methodical things, party matters, electoral management, training of the agents. So that's my niche. I work on that. I'm a good lawyer. I understand the law. Then I contribute that to my party.
Yeah. So with that, what I'm getting is there has to be a high level of awareness of where your strengths lie, and you focus and build on that.
Yeah.
And whatever it is you're not good at, don't force yourself on it.
Yes, don't force yourself. And also accept your weaknesses. I mean, I used to be accused of being a no-nonsense, very tough manager, slave driver sometimes they called me. But then I said to myself, it's my biggest weakness, but it's also my greatest strength because I get the job done.
Yeah.
So yes, unfortunately, that's it. That's how I work.
Yeah.
But I get things done.
Yes, yes. What was it like going through the public firing and, you have, first of all, losing friends, maybe even some family members, and then you're in the public eye. So there's this lady whom we've just seen swearing the president, that man, we were all saying it, know, and the way he said it with that authority and there's just so much panache. And then a few years later, then this happens to you publicly. Yeah. What was that season like for you?
I think what happened to me is that because I knew I had not done anything wrong, my immediate reaction was to go on the defense. So that occupied me. Okay. I had no time to feel sorry for myself.
Oh.
Yes, and that's the way my head switches. The way to protect myself is if there's a problem, I start looking for the solution right away. So that actually consumes you, that you don't dwell on
pity party.
Pity party. And if you've done, I remember I did the course, the training. It's called Peak Performance by James Gitao.
Yes, James, yes.
And one of the trainings you do is you walk on fire.
On fire, yes.
And when you walk on fire, what they teach you is that if you look at the fire and think about the fire, then your brain immediately sends water. That's how you get blisters under your feet. But if you walk on the fire and look where you're going, don't think about the fire, because if you think about it, it will consume you. But if you ignore it and think about where you're going. And I think, for me, that's the one training many people must learn.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't think about the fire that you're going through.
No.
It will consume you.
Yeah.
But if you ignore the fire and think, where do I want to get to? And keep your mind on that. Because remember when you do walk on fire on that course, where you say ice cold, ice cold. And your eyes are supposed to be right ahead, never at the fire. That's what you do. And so I'm glad that I'd done that training.
Yes.
And believe me, it's magical when you do that.
So for you then, at that point in time, it was about vindicating your name, yourself.
Yes.
And clearing that.
Because for everything they accused me of, I immediately went into finding the documentation to support my view, defend myself. I appeared a lot on the media.
Yes.
Because I never let them say one thing and I didn't respond. And at some point, my mother said to me, just let it go, Mama. Just let it go. Don't go on TV anymore. Let it go. And I said to her, no, Mom, just be my mother. Don't be my legal advisor. Don't be my PR manager. Just be Mom. Just ask me if I ate, if I slept well. Wow. Because that's what you should do as my mother. Just ask me if I'm okay. That's all I need to. Give me a hug. That's all I need. And because my mother couldn't understand the whole thing of me responding.
Right.
But I can't sleep if I don't respond.
So
every time they run a headlines in the newspaper on Sundays, I then told all the press, come to Norfolk. I'm doing a press conference in response. Then they would run my story the next day. No, but imagine if I hadn't.
Which is what I'm learning from you now. Because like your mom, most people will say, you know what, the noise will die.
Yeah, let it go.
But then your name still remains.
No, but they were going to write my story. That's the problem.
And you couldn't let them
I will write my own story. Because there was someone accusing me of corruption. And eventually I was vindicated. Imagine if I had let it go. The thing that would be hanging over my head now is that she's a corrupt woman. But I fought it out from the High Court to the Court of Appeal to the Supreme Court. Yeah, it took 9 years.
But the vindication came.
But it's nobody needs to go through that. I'm very convicted that no one needs to go through that.
Yeah.
If it wasn't the grace of God, I don't think I'd have survived it. I'd probably in Madare Mental Hospital now. So I don't think our laws should allow people to do that to people. It is wrong. It was by luck and grace that I survived. Many people don't survive it.
Why do you
Many
think
people
they did
don't
that to
survive
you?
it. It's ego. And so they came up with this plan and they said, the reason is I'd become too powerful. In fact, if you read the High Court judgment, the story is told by the judge.
Okay.
They called me Darth Vader. I'd never watched Star Wars. After that, I had to watch Star Wars. So apparently in Star Wars, I still quite didn't click the movie, but there can't be two gods. They said I had eclipsed the Chief Justice.
My God.
You know, if you're not efficient, it's easy to be eclipsed. That's life. So that was the essence of it. And I would never have known that that was the case. Because I wish she'd told me that, Gladys, I don't want to work with you. I'd have walked away. But don't call me a thief. Because then I'll have to fight back.
You have to fight for your name.
Yes, yeah. And I remember telling people, I don't care about the job. It's my reputation on the line that I have worked so hard to build. I said, the job, take away the job, but don't take away my reputation. So at that time, I discovered later, when the emails were leaked, that this is what has happened.
Yeah.
And the emails have never been denied, but they got away with it. And they did not just destroy me or attempt to destroy me. There were 11 other young people who worked with me, whom they fired, who were collateral damage, had nothing to do with them. At some point, I begged them. And I said, leave these young people alone. You know what? Come after me. These were young people. One had small babies. One of them people had mortgages. Another one was auctioned because he lost his job for nothing. Today, they've been vindicated. There are others who refused to go to court. And today I'm asking them, I think you should. Because you destroyed many young lives. And I said to Willie Mutunga, I will forgive you what you did to me, but I will never forgive you for what you did to those young people. And you have children. You know, you don't do that to people.
9 years, but who is God? You're vindicated now.
Amen.
Yeah. And you still had another public matter happen to you. Let me call it matter happen to you. So again, another very public breakup.
Yes.
So first, why does this public thing follow you? Like you're a magnet for...
No, I think also when people know you're a public figure, then you're more prone to blackmail.
Oh.
Because then people tell you, I'll write this story if you don't.
Oh.
Yeah, so
Okay.
because they call you. For me, I've been very clear.
Yeah.
I consider you a terrorist. I don't negotiate with you. I don't negotiate with terrorists. Go ahead and write.
Yeah. So again, that season, how did you navigate that season, you know, at an emotional level especially?
I remember when it all broke out, my sister was with me. I was at a public function in Eldoret, and my sister showed me, and I said, keep the phone. You'll tell me later how bad it is. And I had 3 functions that day. So I came from one and went to the second one. It's when the story broke. And I was sitting there thinking, okay, how am I going to deal with this? And there was one woman, I'll never forget her. She's supposed to be in a wheelchair. So she crawls onto the podium. And I look at her and I say, I thought you have a wheelchair, which I got for her. And she says, so she comes and she talks about how I helped her. And it was listening to her, how I put her kids through school. And then the wheelchair was brought, and she said, she bought me a wheelchair. Now I have a shop. Now I can move. And just listening to her, I thought to myself, who cares about that nonsense they're writing about me? This is what I'm supposed to be doing. These are the lives I'm supposed to be changing. And that woman gave me so much strength. And I said, I'll hold my head up and focus on serving the people of West English County. Because that's what I'm hired to do.
Right, right.
And so after the lady spoke, you know, I was strengthened. I went to the next function.
Yeah.
And then that evening,
Yeah.
I called for a press conference. And I spoke to them. And I said, what's being written about me, it shows no impropriety on my part.
Yeah.
My job is to serve my God, raise my children, and serve the people of West English County. I will never what you're writing out there is not me. What I do is the following.
So how did you deal with the brokenness then? You know, because there's, okay, maybe you're different, but you know, when a woman goes through that, at whatever level, whatever the case or reason, there's a level of death or brokenness that comes.
No, but you see, the thing is, you could be in a marriage, but that's more death than being alive. So getting out is your chance to live again. So it depends on what the brokenness means. If you're moving to a better place, if you're going to retain your sanity, if you're going to be a better person to raise your children. Because sometimes raising children in an unhappy marriage may be more destructive.
Wow. So you find life outside of
No,
death,
it's like if you have
if
you have gangrene on your leg
yeah.
and you have to live,
Yeah.
they'll have to chop off your leg
Yeah.
so that you can live. Or else if you stay with it, it'll kill you.
It will kill you.
That's life.
Got it. So again, you had to shield your children in that season and do
They
the
understood.
mother thing.
They understood.
Okay.
It was a conversation we'd had. The most important thing is for them to walk with you
Yes.
and to know what's happening.
Yeah.
They understand. Sometimes the problem is actually other people who don't understand, and other people who now use it to make jokes at you or to make fun of you, to say things in the social media. It's not, so it's within the family, it's fine.
Got it.
Even with a separated spouse, it's an understanding.
Yes.
But the problem is the way other people use it
Against
to
you.
now throw darts at you.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
yes.
see that.
But I guess for some people it's a sport. Making fun of people and making fun of their pain.
So as we say goodbye, Honorable Boss Shollei, women who aspire to be in politics, whichever industry, I mean, you have such a colorful, illustrious career, and now you're serving the nation at deputy speaker level. And of course, I know you have aspirations as well. I could tell you what they are, but I won't. It's your story to tell. But I'll be watching you 4 or 5 years from now. You know, we'll have a different conversation, which is brilliant anyway. We celebrate anybody who is just escalating. But women who want to get into this field because they feel like you, called to serve a particular community, called to serve a particular people, a particular ministry, whatever that may be in their areas of calling. Could you look here and just encourage them?
I think I'd encourage anyone generally, but more so women and girls, because the way society is so harsh on women, I know many competent women who can be in politics and even be 10 times better than me, but they haven't jumped in the ring because they're terrified of what happens to you. The tearing down, the abuses, the name calling, the shaming, character shaming, body shaming, everything. It makes it very difficult. We lose out the best of our women because of that. And so, but I would encourage them to tell them that it's part of what happens. I always told people when I was being vilified in the judiciary, I told people the hotter the fire, the purer the gold. And I remember saying, that was many years ago, maybe 9 years ago. And I said that, and I said, I'll come out as pure gold.
And look at you.
You have to have a positive attitude. You work at it.
Yeah.
It's not easy. You've got to talk to yourself. Every time you've got to talk to yourself. So it's not like it comes naturally to me. It's a deliberate effort. Sometimes I have to write it down and say, Gladys, you will survive this. Gladys, you will come out of this. And I think I would encourage everyone who's going through a difficult time that you have to remind yourself. You have to be deliberate about it. It's not, nobody's going to give it to you. And like I said, I encourage many women, jump in. It's not going to be easy, you know.
Yeah.
And just the way the Bible says, the Bible doesn't guarantee us as Christians that you will have a perfect, easy life. But they guarantee us that the Lord will be with you at every step.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's the same way.
Man, I am so honored that you came today. Thank you so much for sharing your time. There's just a zen about you. There's just zen. Like it's like you've reached this place where unmovable, unshakable, and you just know where you're going. And I like the blinkers thing. Man, I'm taking that times 10. Me, you'll be talking out there as I'm just blinked. I'm blinked in. I like it. I love it. But thank you so much, ma'am, for coming.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
It's been fun.
Yeah?
Yes.
I'm glad to hear that. And to you watching, I am so grateful you made the time tonight to watch What's Your Story with Honorable Gladys Jepkosgei Boss Shollei. She is the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly here in Kenya, and also the woman rep for Uasin Gishu. If you have questions, let's see, how can people reach you?
Try not to say something nasty on social media, please.
Yeah, but
no, but it's okay. You're allowed to do that. It makes me better.
Ooh, it polishes you. The gold thing, the gold thing.
Keep going, keep going.
But if the young girls have questions on like, what do I do here? You know, at times people look for a mentor.
Yeah, they can send on Facebook.
Oh, you're on Facebook?
Yes, yes.
All your names, yes?
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, great. Then there you go. So she's on Facebook.
I think it's Gladys Boss Shollei.
Yeah. She's on Facebook. Go in there and ask questions. At least you have an avenue. She's accessible there, okay? So again, we say goodbye. I hope you gleaned a lot from this conversation. I've enjoyed it. You know, I enjoy this kind of talk. So we will see you again next week. Kwaherini.
Gem Suites Hotel and Luxury Serviced Apartments currently boasts 2 properties within Kenya. Gem Suites State House Crescent, set in the exclusive State House neighborhood, comprises of 34 well-appointed apartments, and Gem Suites Riverside, set up in a secure, private and tranquil setting in the upscale Riverside neighborhood with 98 luxuriously appointed full-service 1- and 2-bedroom apartments, superior hotel rooms and presidential penthouses.